from the outset, which was supposed to be maybe a fair or friendly conversation, but turned out to be more of a hit job behind a paywall. We can kind of leave that aside for our purposes tonight. We won't really relitigate that on this show. Another thing that was mentioned, which I think is really important, very briefly, is Tucker Carlson said that he did not know his dad was in the CIA until his father passed this year in March. And I just want to say very briefly, that is a very, very important thing that he said, because if he's lying about that, in my opinion, it calls into question in a very serious way whether he is a sincere or honest person, in particular about his relationship or his family's relationship with the CIA. And spoiler alert, that is a lie. It's a very strange, bald-faced lie. You just watched him in his own show, and he said specifically, I did not know my father was in the CIA until he died, which was in March 2025. He said, and I was, quote, shocked to learn this. Well, we have the clip. In June 2024, he was on Sean Ryan's show, and he said, my father is in the CIA, when his father was very much alive. In addition, he gave details about it. He said that he lived down the street growing up from the CIA officer who was involved in the overthrow of Iran's government led by Mossadegh in the 1950s. So this raises some serious questions. Why would you lie about that? It's on record that you lied about it. And in particular, why would you lie in such a way? He said he was shocked to know that. But as we're going to work through the material, it's very clear there was no surprise. Not only did Tucker Carlson know that his father was in the CIA, he had to intimately know, because Dick Carlson, his father, was very involved in the CIA. It's not peripheral. It wasn't a footnote. His father was a CIA man and played a crucial role at the CIA. I will read you quotes from testimony that he gave, recorded by C-SPAN in the 1990s, where he talks about how instrumental Dick Carlson was, his father was, in the overthrow of Soviet Union governments, or governments backed by the Soviet Union, of Tiananmen Square in China, his relationship with neocon nonprofits after he left Voice of America and the other organizations he was a part of. So for Tucker to say not only did he not know, but he was shocked, that does not pass a smell test at all. That is a brazen lie, a strange and weird lie that he compounded by saying, not only did I not know, I was surprised. Well, that is absolutely not the case. And for him to misrepresent his knowledge, what he knew, when he knew it, in such a provably false way is very strange to me. And I think it calls into question his credibility on that subject, but we'll go through that. Now, those, in my opinion, are more minor things. In broad strokes, the big argument that I want to focus on tonight, he said that what I represent is a campaign. He said, I'm an inorganic actor as part of a bad faith campaign to sabotage what he said are, quote, the non-crazy, non-hateful, credible voices against the neocons in politics. He said, that's my mission. Now, in his own words, he says he doesn't watch my show. He doesn't know me. He doesn't spend a lot of time watching me. He said the only time he saw me was when I was attacking his father. But yet he is sure, and he says it is obvious, in spite of his ignorance, that that is what I am. His only proof for the claim is that, in his words, I exclusively attack those kinds of people. The non-crazy, non-hateful, credible anti-neocon voices who he listed. And the names he gave were these. He said J.D. Vance, Joe Kent, and himself. Candace Owens chimed in and said Dave Smith. We will analyze each of those people. And we will evaluate tonight what is this artificial distinction being created between non-crazies and crazies, non-haters and haters, anti-neocon voices and whatever I am. We're going to break that down. And if Joe Kent is your champion, well, we'll look at Joe Kent and we'll look at his views. Tucker characterized my attacks on Joe Kent and J.D. Vance as random.